where should I start? I feel like we all have so many stories when it comes to natural hair, especially if you're one that's gone back and forth. So I grew up natural. My mom had locks. She gave me locks before I could remember. And I grew up in the 90s. I was born in 89, so I grew up in the 90s, and locks was not a popular style, especially not amongst kids. And so the Just For Me commercials got me. All I wanted was a perm. I wanted a perm. I wanted straight hair. All of my friends in school had straight hair. I wanted to look like the girls on TV. I wanted a perm. And so my parents, they said no, I had to be natural. And so when I turned 12, I finally got permission to cut my locks off. And the first thing my godmother did was take me to get my hair done. And we went to an African braiding shop. And she leaves me there for a little bit and says, I'll be back. She comes back with pain pills. And I was like, what is this for? I had no idea. It's my first time getting my hair braided. I didn't know that this was about to be like a painful experience and obviously traumatizing, because I still remember the story of getting my hair braided, taking those pills, having to sleep like this because laying on the braids hurt so bad. And so I knew from then that that wasn't the experience that I wanted with braids, but I also didn't want to go back to locks. I was happy to finally just have the freedom to explore my hair. My mom did hair as a hustle, so she had tons of books on hair that I would read. I learned how to cornrow reading a book that a friend brought over, and so that kind of prompted me to try and get into styling my own hair, because I wanted to look good. But one, I wasn't going back to the African braiding shop, and then two, my mom just couldn't afford for me to go get like a press and curl or whatever it may be. So I had to figure out how to style my hair, and so I learned how to cornrow, and I would just explore different styles through that. And then my friends started letting me do their hair. And then that's kind of how I became a natural hairstylist. I guess it kind of just, it happened. I got really good at it, and then really learning not just how to style the hair and make it really cute, but also how to take care of my hair and take care of my clients' hair. And I was blessed with a job in my junior year of high school at a hair salon that the owner specialized in natural hair. She was a licensed natural hair colorist. And so she took me under her wing. I was her assistant. And from there, I really learned like how to do professional or how to do natural hair professionally, because that was like different then. There weren't really a lot of natural hair salons back then. I want to say this is like 2005 or six, so the natural hair movement had not emerged yet, not to what it is today. And so she really taught me a lot, and the rest is really history. I love doing hair. I've been in and out. I also went through the perm phase only for like a year and a half. So I think it's been really important for me to explore all of these different hair journeys, because it's only made me a better stylist now that I understand hair in its different states, whether it's natural or straight. I can do it all. I want to say at the time, I don't think I knew that I was going to be making braiding less painful. For me, and I'm speaking solely for myself, it is easier for me to inflict pain on myself. I don't know what that is. Like if I'm expecting somebody to make something painful, it's just different experience if I'm doing it. Like if I could give myself a shot, I would probably be okay versus having somebody else. I can brace myself. I know when it's about to happen. And so doing my own hair, then it was just like, okay, braids are painful. I'd rather just do it myself. And so through doing it myself, I was able to learn, how to do it so that it was comfortable for me. And that's kind of where my job at the hair salon also helps, because she taught me how not, like I was braiding my hair comfortable for me, but it wasn't necessarily looking crisp and tight and, things like that. It looked good, but it wasn't, trendy. And so she really taught me how to create a braid, make a cornrow, and make it look like all of those other styles that, African braiding shops were doing. And so, but make it comfortable. So there are techniques that we could use in how we braid, how we install the braid so that it does not have to hurt. And so from that day in the African braiding shop until meeting her, I had just been playing around with stuff. And then she solidified that technique for me and kind of helped me understand that braiding does not have to be painful, and that it's, really sad that African American women have just always associated braiding with being tight and painful, and also associated with it being right? If it's not tight, then it's not right. So I actually had, you know, those issues come up in the chair. Like, I don't think you're doing it right because I don't feel nothing. So, well, growing up, again, everybody, my mom, her close friends, were all natural. And so I was comfortable then. It wasn't until like kids and the media got into, you know, my head that started making me not being comfortable with it. But now being natural means being comfortable in my own skin 100% and not letting any outside thoughts about what my hair should look like affect how my hair is styled and how I style it. I feel like natural hair can be many things because everybody's hair is different. And so for me, that's kinky coily. You have naturals who are curly. You have naturals that are straight. So it's really just owning up to how your strands grow out of your head and being comfortable with that. But I also feel like everyone should have the choice to do whatever they want to their hair. My goal is just for everybody to also be comfortable with, you know, how they were born with their hair naturally, curly, kinky, straight, coily, whatever it may be. Be comfortable with it, but you can still change it up sometimes if you want. Braids were like a go-to style. Obviously, culturally, we can trace braids back to Africa, and they had, you know, so many different meanings for us. But of course, Africans in America or African Americans kind of have that disconnect from Africa and where these styles came from and what their meanings were. And I feel like a lot of times moms used, like, you just knew you would wear braids younger if you didn't have like mean locks. Your hair would be braided because a lot of moms didn't want to do the perm or the straight look because it didn't last as long. So it's like your hair is going to get braided because it's going to last long. And so it just became a part of our culture. When you're younger, you wear braids, you wear your hair natural. And then as you get older, we can start straightening it when you start to learn how to keep it that way, because wearing your hair straight can be high maintenance. And so, yeah, braids was just like a part of our culture. And I don't think that until I started teaching a class, I don't think I realized how much people thought or felt that it was a part of our culture and how much it affected women who didn't know how to braid. Because when I created the class, I thought of it being a safe space for Black girls, just because I knew that there was that, you know, that feeling of shame when it came to Black women who didn't know how to braid. And I wanted them to feel comfortable. But in my head, it's just, oh, we're creating a space that's safe for you to learn how to braid, where you know you won't, you know, feel that judgment, and that gives you the power to keep going and to keep learning, you know, how to braid and how to construct different hairstyles. Now, once we got into the class and we start conversing more with our students, we began to learn that it was a lot deeper than that. A lot of women felt that they were missing connections with their children because they didn't know how to braid. So instead of having that, you know, wash day where I got to do my daughter's or son's hair from morning to night, with the whole process, I'm taking them to a salon that somebody else is getting to bond with them on that level. And I think for people who braided, we never even thought about that. So I guess we took it for granted, being able to sit with our children and do their hair. Or even we've heard stories of grandparents and like, oh, my sister used to braid my grandmother's hair, and I just kind of felt left out because I didn't know how to braid, and I felt like I lost that connection with my grandmother. So being able to help people learn the skill, and now, I mean, we've had moms that were, you know, have teenagers now. It's like, I'm about to braid her hair because I've been waiting for this moment her whole life, and I'm so excited that I can finally do it. And so it's just been like, it's been a really good experience for me. I know for my students, they've been super happy to finally learn this skill that's just like been established as a part of Black culture. But for me, learning about those other experiences and not, or learning that I've been taking experiences on my own for granted. So I had planned on teaching a class anyway. I don't take children clients. As a stylist, I no longer service children. I have one child that was grandfathered into my services. Outside of that, I don't. And that's just because, one, kids don't like getting their hair done. Two, they don't like to sit still. So something that should be as quick as an hour and a half turns into 4 hours because they need 20 bathroom breaks. They just find every excuse in the book to get up, and was like, okay, I can't do this because parents also expect to pay less for children because they have less hair. But most of the times it takes longer to do their hair because of all of those obstacles we have to go through to even get them to stay in the chair so we can complete a style. And so I didn't want to leave parents hanging though. And I was like, well, why are parents even bringing their children to the salon to do their hair? They're always like bent on it lasting long. I need something that's going to last. And most styles on children don't last super duper long because kids don't care about their hair. They're not paying for it. So you get it braided really cute. The edges are laid really cute. I always see those really cute pictures on Instagram. Kids with the baby hairs, carefully constructed. And then they go outside and they roll in the dirt, right? Because they don't care. They didn't pay for their hair to get done. They don't know that that's going to mess it up and it's going to be like that their mom or dad is not going to be able to fix it. So I wanted to provide a solution. Okay, let's teach you guys how to do basic braids, some basic styles so that you can do your children's hair on your own. That way, when they go and roll out in the dirt and you got to do wash day all over again, it's not a huge deal. I can wash your hair, we can do a quick style and keep it moving. And so I said, okay, we're going to do a mommy-daughter class. But then COVID happened. So I never got to put that. I had the plan on paper, but we never got to put it in motion. And in between, I feel like all of that happened like the beginning of March. COVID shut us down the end of March. I had a client who wanted to learn how to cornrow. She knows how to plait, and she reached out and said, hey, can you do a private class for me? I need to know how to cornrow. So I sent her all of the stuff she needed, and we never got to do the class. And so all of those things just kind of helped me build what is a safe space for Black girls that never learn how to braid. I decided it wouldn't just be for moms with kids, but it would be open to all Black women that just didn't know how to braid. And initially I thought it was just going to be like African-American women. I never thought it was going to reach, international waters. And we have students all over the world that were trying to learn how to do hair or how to do natural hair, but also how to care for it. So we do more than braiding. We've been learning how to do those same things that I learned. How do I wear braids and keep my hair healthy? I think that's where I'm at right now, just strategizing, trying to figure out what the need is. We do have three classes now. We have two memberships. The class has always been a membership. Because of COVID, I wanted to figure out how to make it affordable because I knew everybody's income was kind of questionable right now because we didn't know what was going to happen, especially with the world shutting down. So we had the absolute beginners class, and originally it was $5 every 2 weeks, and then we moved it to $10 a month as we grew, so that it was easier to manage. Then we had to create the intermediate class. So now we have women who were in our beginners class that have now moved into the intermediate class. They know how to construct a cornrow, but now they want to be fancy and learn how to add extensions to their cornrows, or how do we do braids that look different? Like how do you make it look small and get bigger so we've been teaching that in the intermediate class. And then we have my box braid edition. So I call it a safe space box braid edition. And it's still for the beginner braider. You just have to know how to plait, and then I'll teach you how to add extensions, but still using that same curriculum kind of, and that way or my technique of teaching, so that people who don't know, like they're not stylists or, they're not very well versed in hair or hair care, can learn and make it easier for them. So we do that in the box braid class and the intermediate class. So I'm just trying to find ways to, teach women who just, this isn't their thing as far as they want it to be, but they don't understand and they need somebody to break it all the way down. Whereas I think a lot of times people assume that as Black women, we know something. And so we don't break it all the way down because it's like, we don't need to explain that. They get that. They know that braids are 3 pieces. I don't need to tell them that. I'm just going to tell them how to do it. And so, I see us growing, continuing to, there's always going to be a girl out there that's ready to learn how to braid. And so now it's just about keeping these students and figuring out what they want to do next. it is easier than a lot of people think. It just hasn't been explained to them the right way. So I want all women or men who want to learn to have an open mind, to be ready to be patient with yourself. It's not a skill, because contrary to popular belief, we weren't born with this skill and weren't like a batch of us that just got the skill of braiding. It is something that we had to learn, and over time we got better with. So I want students or prospective students to think about that. That is a skill that has to be learned. It won't be overnight, but you have to be patient with yourself. You have to be positive, and you have to practice.